Hello, welcome to the Inform Me Talking Small Business webinar. It's hosted by me, Sophie Cross. I'm the editor of Freelance magazine, and my co-host is Will Blower, MAAT. He's the managing director of Realise Finance. Inform Me is the small business advice charity arm of the AAT, the Association of Accounting Technicians. And today on our small business advice webinar, we're really lucky to have Angela Lyons as our guest. Ange is an award-winning brand and marketing graphic designer based in London with over 20 years experience in the design industry. For the past 13 years, she's been running her own studio, Lyons Creative, where she specialises in brand, marketing, design across print and digital. Ange is passionate about connecting with people and supporting newer business owners by sharing her design expertise, and her love for colour and typography is at the heart of everything she creates, and she channels that passion into a monthly newsletter which is called Font Love Friday and other designery things. And most recently, she's launched the Creatives Like Us podcast and event, which is a growing community celebrating creatives of colour. Hello.
Hi. Gosh, that's a lot.
It is, but it's such a good bio and it's such a good intro to you. And we're here today. The theme is starting something because, as that, amazing bio describes, you have started so many things. You seem to have been unstoppable, especially over the past few years. So we're here to kind of dig into, your business, your newsletter, your podcast, now an event, and get some graphic design tips off you as well, if we can.
I can do that. Definitely. Hope I can do that.
I know we're going to end up talking about community and things like that. So welcome.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. Thanks for asking me, Will and Soph. It's a real pleasure. So thanks so much.
Right, so I'm going to start off right at the beginning. Can you tell us how you got started, like freelancing or running your own business, and how long it's been going now, and kind of a bit of a journey of the different stages as you see it?
Yeah, sure. I first started freelancing because I was working in a software company, and I'd been there for about 7 months after a job I'd left for about 11 years. Can you imagine? After 11 years of working in a contract publishers, I was like, I'm done, I'm going. And I worked in the software company, and I was doing their email marketing designs, and I just didn't like it at all, and it just wasn't for me. And I'd also had my children by then, and I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to try freelancing. And I just went to company's house and registered my name as a company. No research, terrible, but don't ever do that, please, people. Research first. And I said I'll go freelance, and I set up my company, and my name was Angela Lyons Designs. And a few years later, my husband decided to go contracts and freelance too, so we changed the name to Lyons Creative because he didn't want to put Angela Lyons Design on the invoices. So that's how I started, really. And so I've been going since 13 years this April.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm still a limited company, and I'm still going.
I would say that not doing the research sometimes is the best way to do things, or going in and registering that name in company's house, and then maybe doing a little bit of research.
And then do the research afterwards. I know my cousin really told me off and said, "Why have you not done any research? Why have you just gone and just put this name down and just started a company?" I was like, "It's fine. I'm going to do it."
What do you think you would have done differently in terms of that research? Like, what do you think you might have
I think I might have looked at the ins and outs of being self-employed and going, not having a limited company, because you have to have obviously certain, you have to inform the government of your taxes and all that. And obviously self-employed people, you have to do that. But I would have just maybe worked out if it was beneficial for me at the time to either be a limited company or a sole trader. So I would have done that kind of research.
Passing over to Will, can we get a little bit of an insight?
Yeah, exactly. Did I do it the right way or the wrong way?
I'm on this listening thinking, wow, this is like we speak to business owners all the time when they want to set up a business, and the main question right at the start is, should it be a sole trader, or should you be as a sole trader? Partnership maybe, but it's not really seen nowadays. Or should you be a limited company? You jump straight into limited company. It's not a bad thing at all. It shows that you're passionate for growth. It shows that you're not averse to risk. You want to set up. The thing we say to most business owners is you've got to remember that a limited company comes with a lot of legal responsibilities on top of what just self-employed sole trader does. And that's the big way up. So yes, going into it without a bit of research was a bit risky, but it's paid off for you, and you're here now 13 years in. So it's probably the perfect decision. And yes, you might save a little bit of tax at the start by being a sole trader, but does it matter? You're in a position now where you've been able to grow the business. You can say that I've been a limited company for this many years, so it gives you that reputation. So
exactly,
that's my thoughts.
Perfect. Oh, that's great. That's good to hear.
You can go back and tell your cousin. Okay, the next question I had to have you was, what are your top tips for staying sane while self-employed or running your own business?
Well, there's quite a few, but for me, I think because I'm by myself most of the time, it is me. I am Lyons Creative, but I know that obviously some companies out there listening, they might be part of a bigger team. But if you're a freelancer or a small business and you're by yourself, I'd say get some people around you. Join maybe some local groups. I'm not saying to go to join certain things where like, oh gosh, I don't want to say it because I get in trouble. But you know what I'm talking about. Local
Find
groups.
your tribe is what you're
Find
talking
your
about.
tribe. Find your tribe. And even if it is local to you or go into a city, I know some of my friends have memberships at the IOD, the Institute of Directors. I met somebody yesterday actually on a net walk who goes to Soho House and he has membership there. So I think sometimes, and you can even go local, go to a local co-working space and find some people that you can work with every now and again. So that's one of my top tips, is like to stay insane, is to find some people that you can actually either take some breaks with or work alongside you. Another tip, actually, again, with people, you can't do it all the time. Sometimes you have emergencies and sometimes you have a lot of work on. And if you are by yourself, I'd say start vetting some people that you know and you like and you know you can work with. And obviously down to NDAs and agreements, if you can pass on work to them, I'd say definitely get some people on board. Stay insane. Oh my gosh, I'm terrible at this. I try my best, but take breaks. Take breaks. My breaks are in the morning. I get up really early and I'll just go for a walk or go to the gym or whatever. But during the day, to stay sane, take more regular breaks, even though my watch tells me to stand up every 50 minutes, which is good. I've got a stand-up sit-down desk now, so I do stand up.
So you're going to stand up 3 times during this webinar?
Yeah, I'm actually standing up now because my chair's so squeaky on webinars, so I'm like, I'm standing up now.
That's good. That's great advice. I was thinking earlier about how, I don't know for everyone else, but kind of an instant reaction tends to be that, you know, if you get the choice to kind of, I think it was, I was driving past McDonald's and, you know, they really, all of these places really push you to use an app now. And I was thinking, you know, they're really kind of leaning into that human nature of like that our instant first reaction is like, if I don't have to talk to someone, I won't. Yeah. But actually, as soon as you do, you feel so much better for it. And we need to like push through that kind of advice that we would give the advice that we would give other people, like, surround yourself with people that can support you and just see people and talk to people and also take regular breaks. And, you know, we need to actually follow that advice for ourselves and not wonder why at the end of the day we feel a bit burnt out.
Yeah, exactly. And even the last few weeks have been a bit crazy here and a lot of work. And then yesterday morning, I got an invite. It came for an email to go on a net walk in Regent's Park and run by Small Business Britain. I just thought, oh, you know what?
That's such
I'm
a good
busy,
idea.
but I just went, and it was, you know, a couple of hours in the morning. Jumped on the Victoria line. I was there for a couple of hours, met some people, had a walk around, got some fresh air, and luckily it was sunny. And came back home and carried on working. So if you can take those breaks, definitely do.
You never really regret going to those things either, do you? I went to a networking event this week and it didn't really feel relevant to me. It was more for the kind of media industry. And then I met someone there and I had a really good idea for another event. And, you know, it is great. I've got a few more questions about your business, and then I think Will and I are going to kind of take it in turns and ask you about the different things that you've kind of started over the last few years. So I just want to ask you what some of this is going to sound like a leading question, but what are some of your favourite projects to work on?
Oh my God, my clients listed. Can I tell the ones I hate?
One of them is.
No, you know what? One of the ones that I absolutely love doing is working with small businesses and freelancers when they're setting up and they've got an idea of how they want their business to run. Not just like me going and run them, just like set up straight away. But if they've got some idea around their vision and also their tone of voice, I love setting up branding for them. So that'd be their their brand, their logos, their brand packs, creating graphics for them on social media, and sometimes their websites and any other assets they need. But when it's new and it's fresh, I love starting that because I feel like I'm creating something new for them.
Nice.
And, it's unique to them. Whereas, I think sometimes when I work for my corporate clients, they already have their brand guidelines in place, and I'll just work to those and adhere to those, which is also still good. And obviously, pays the bills and it's my work and I love it. But it's when I work with small businesses and them starting up, I love.
Good. And how do you get new clients most of the time?
Do you know what? Somebody asked me this yesterday on the walk, and most of my work is still referrals, I'd say, but I do market myself online, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and even through talking and speaking, and being on podcasts and things like that, and just going to various networking groups. I've had a few work jobs come my way from networks, but it's always been like, it's not instant. Actually, one was instant, but the rest of them have been like maybe a couple of months down the line, or a year later, where they've met me and someone said, "Oh, have you heard of?" They need a graphic designer. They're like, "Oh, I know someone. I met someone." So that's how sometimes I get my work. But most of the time, it is someone will see something on LinkedIn or Instagram. But majority is, I'd say about 80% is still referrals. People still pass me on via that.
So I think there's a really important point on what you mentioned about work coming 12 months later or a year or over a year down the line. I see people at networking events. I go regularly to events in town in Peterborough. Obviously, there's not too many around here, but I try and get involved in the very informal ones, the ones that feel like they're in for new businesses. And you'll go and you'll see someone come along for the first time, and I'll say to them, please come again next time, or please try and come along a few times, because you won't come one time and get business. You might, if you're very lucky. If you're an accountant, you go along and luckily someone in the room suddenly, I needed an accountant. You can, and like you said, you did find work like that, and it does happen. But as you've really highlighted, really important to say, the best work comes where you put in that legwork, you go consistently, and you become the person that people know to go to at their networking events. So really important point, and we say that to so many small business owners, because they think it's, a networking event means business, but I think you've got to put in them relationships and build them.
Definitely 100%. And I think being yourself, and don't go in with a hard sell like, hello, I'm a graphic designer, I'd like to sell you my services. It's just be yourself, be normal. And even yesterday again, I'm like, walk, some of us said, but I said I'm a graphic designer, she's like, oh wow, and she was telling me about a business, and I was like, well, do this, do that, and she was like, don't you want the work from me? And I was like, no, I'm just chatting to you, I'm gonna like help you out, I'm not gonna,
and if you do that, the work will come eventually when they actually need you.
Exactly.
They won't be forced into a sale. They won't be. I get that completely. I love that approach. So.
I totally agree. Arnie's put in the chat about asking for recommendations, which you've obviously started doing, about getting a network of people around you. Trying to reach out to individuals, I've had no luck. My business is in the idea stage at the moment, but a network of people would really help launch it forward. So, I mean, I would reiterate what Angela will have just said about trying to find your people and kind of going into it, about making friends to start with, really about making business friends, and also working out how you can help other people. So you're not feeling like you're just sort of going in with a sales pitch, but actually you're going in being as helpful as possible, because it kind of doesn't feel weird when you're doing it like that. And you're listening to others, so you're asking people lots of questions about themselves. But I would just try lots of different avenues until you find the type of people that that resonate with you and you resonate with them. Just don't give up. I think LinkedIn is also a really good way for kind of online networking. If you keep showing up on LinkedIn, it's like Gus said it last time. I think it's kind of like a ongoing, forever online networking event, which I actually really like the idea of. Have you guys got any other tips for networking?
I'd say, like what Will said, I'd maybe check local area. I know that my local council also have groups for small businesses. So sometimes a local council might have a business enterprise area, and they might have a group there. So I'd say check your local council, check their website, see if they've got anything for small businesses. If there
isn't something in your area, think of setting something up.
I know.
We're going to come on to asking you about your event, Ange, which obviously you sort of found a gap and wanted to set something up for it. But I'm going to pass on to Will. You mentioned in finding new business that sometimes public speaking and podcasting and things like that have given you opportunities. And I know Will wants to ask you a few more questions about your public speaking career?
Of course, yeah.
Oh my gosh, career.
I know. Well, you got to do a bit of public speaking to answer it. So to me, public speaking is a scary area. I like this kind of thing, but if you put me up in a stand and there was 300 eyes looking at me and saying, "Oh, and I'm having to talk," I like the questions, but as soon as I'm put on the spot, it's tough. So
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. When your first opportunity came out, what was it like? What was it? Where did it come from? And just tell me a little bit about your kind of first opportunity and from there.
Funny enough, it was. I think it was public speaking. I say covers like all areas, so it's not just like literally get up on stage and like being there. I say also it's the podcast, the webinars, and this. I think starting out something really small. I did. I think it was with you, Soph. Actually, my first was on a podcast.
Yes.
With Jenny. With Jenny Holiday, and we were talking about Freelance magazine, and then from there I'd say webinars by myself presenting, and then from there somebody asked me to come and speak on a panel, and I said I'm not going on stage by myself. I will come with a panel, and if you let me know kind of what the questions are going to be beforehand. Again, I don't like knowing them exactly because then you start fretting about them. I'd rather just have the flow of the conversation, and that went really well. And then after that, somebody said to me, "Oh, would you like to do a presentation?" And it was at Co-work Crew with Molly Scanlon and Penny Pickering. They asked me if I'd like to do a presentation. So I did that. And that was one that I did by myself last year. And then I also did, again, but that was in conversation, Nikki from the International Magazine Centre. She had a day up in Edinburgh called Magazine Street, and it was just loads of people into magazines, and obviously I loved that. It was brilliant. But I said, I don't want to speak by myself on a stage. So I think in conversation, in panel, they're really good starting points if you want to talk and be on stage and have a public speaking career as such. But it's funny because when you said career, I'm like, oh God, is it a career? I suppose it's part of I suppose now it's part of my business and part of my marketing, I'd say. But it's not something that, go on, sorry, go ahead.
It's amazing what you've done. Obviously, the public speaking like that and doing it so often is really incredible. It's not something I feel I could do. I find it when people say they speak and I see people speak so confidently, it is something that really impresses me because it's something that comes naturally, but also something that does take a bit of learning.
It takes time. And I think when you see those people, I think there'll be a really small percentage of people that literally will get up on stage and do it. Those people that you see are either bricking it still, really bricking it, or they are they've practiced and had a lot of back work behind them. I think even Beyonce, when she gets up on stage, I don't know if you heard, she's got an alter ego where she's still nervous, but she pretends she's somebody else. So sometimes having a bit of an alter ego. I think hers is Sasha Fierce or something like that.
Yeah, Sasha. It was an album, wasn't it? I remember that when I was a kid.
So sometimes it's if you want to do it, I'd say it's great, but you have to put a bit of work into it, and but start small. Start small.
Do you find it kind of does the benefit you get out of doing these public speaking and the webinars, the podcasts, and actually on the panels as well? Does it provide opportunities for you, or is it more of it builds your own confidence for your brand of what you do anyway? Is it a reputation thing, or does it actually bring work to you as such?
I'd say both, actually. Both. I've been on podcasts and it was interesting. It was actually about storytelling and public speaking, and it was quite it was like a bit of a therapy session for me too, because when she started talking to me about it, I started thinking about things and parts, thinking, why didn't I public speak before? Why wasn't I doing this? I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a bit of a breakthrough for me. Like, I thanked her afterwards so much. I was like, it was such a great podcast. And literally after the back of that podcast, I got some work. It went out and I got some work. Somebody heard me and said, I'm looking for a graphic designer, and I really enjoyed your story and got some work. And then sometimes I will use my podcast or the event, again, not intentionally, and people contact me that way. So it's a bit of both, I'd say.
So is there any builds a reputation? It sounds kind of similar to how I use LinkedIn and also our social media. There's not as much videos or talking on there, but I know that it's always there as a background. If someone wants to check me out, they can see all of that. But also opportunities do come from the odd post that do well, and if I say the right thing. So if I was to go into public speaking or to do more of what you do, what's kind of one piece of advice you'd give to me, or as in to anyone that's watching this webinar, as one piece of kind of key advice if they were to start? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, you have a little bit. Again, I didn't practice the question before I came on. I'd say know if you are going to do it, talk about something that you really care about. because that will come
something you've got
naturally.
passion for and something
Something
that
you've
you
got
actually
passion
comes from the
about.
heart rather than trying to make something up. I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
same with
Exactly.
anything.
Yeah, I'd say that. And if you, do you know what else? Really good advice. What the tips that I did when I was doing my first talk by myself, I started listening to a few other podcasts about public speaking, and they were brilliant. And they gave me loads of advice. Oh, if I can remember the name, I can't remember the name of the podcast, but it was just good to listen to them talking about public speaking, and I was listening to them and getting tips from them. So if there's something, do your research. I'd say if you want to do that, do research too. Yeah.
We can put the name of that in the
I'll find out. Yeah.
notes afterwards.
Something. I remember her first name is Charlotte, but I need to remember her.
Well, do you want to continue? I know you wanted to ask Angela about the podcast, and I know I was going to ask Angela about the event, but I know the event, I think, sort of came off the back of the podcast. So while we're on talking, well, everything involves talking. Would you want to ask Angela about launching the podcast?
Yeah, so I guess, simply tell me a little bit more about launching your podcast and what you've got kind of lined up for the future in that industry.
Yeah, sure. The podcast is called Creatives Like Us, and I had the idea, I think, about 2 years ago, and it was just one of those things where you think, I'm not doing it, I can't be bothered, I've not got time for this, why am I doing this? Who would listen to this? All those questions going around in your head. And then last year, I met a young lady at a party, a friend's party, and she's a design student. And she's Black, and she said she wanted to find out a bit more about her course, her degree before joining. She likes to listen to podcasts, and she went online and said that she couldn't find anything. I said, funny enough, I've been thinking about starting a podcast, talking to creatives, and she was like, oh, you should definitely do it. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I started it, and yeah, so I've everywhere when I go to networking events, I find people and I say, "Oh, hello."
You would be good for my podcast.
You would be fantastic for my And they're like, and most people say yes straight away. I've not even told them the whole thing about the podcast. They're like, yeah, because again, it's a bit of marketing for them, and it gets their name out there. And they, when you think about it, all they do is give me half an hour of their time, maybe an hour, and they're talking. I do the rest of the work, so it's good for them.
Good for them. It's not much time putting in, and they get the benefits. Yeah. So how many episodes have you done or recorded?
Episode 10 came out this morning. Nice. I've actually got all of the episodes for season 1 already recorded up until July. So I did a lot of recording last year.
That's very clever as well, very smart, because
doing
things in advance and marketing, very, very, very smart.
Well, at the end of the day, I've still got my client work to do, so I was like, I've got to build it in somehow. I have a calendar that I set up specifically for certain things in my business, and one of them is podcast interviews, and I send the link out to people, and they book the time that they want. So but yeah, so it's 10 episodes in, so it's called Creatives Like Us, and I'm talking to Black, brown creatives who are in a creative industry. And it doesn't just mean graphic design. I've spoken to a poet. This morning's episode was, she's a dancer. I've spoken to someone in film and TV. I have spoken to an illustrator. So it's a real mix of people that call themselves a creative.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. So you touched on, obviously, you use a calendar that fills out, and I imagine that's nowadays probably one of them kind of AI softwares or something like that. But do you have a lot of different resources and kind of things that you use in podcasts? Because the clients that I've got that are podcast creators, there's a ton of software out there, a ton of resources, a ton of different equipment they use. But it'd be interesting to hear what you kind of use or what you'd recommend.
Yeah. I must admit, I try to make as much as everything as possible, as easy as possible. So I've got my CRM system that I use. It's called Moxie, and I also manage my clients in there. But what I love about Moxie is that it has different calendars. So I set up the calendars. I've set up a time for the guests to come on, and within that I've set instructions of what they should do. So that's quite straightforward. And then from there, I record on Riverside. Riverside is just it's such a dream to use, and I'm not techie at all, and it pretty much does everything for you. And other people use Otter AI for transcripts, and but that, again, I just really want to simplify everything and make my life a little bit easier. What I do with the guests, I also give them the graphics, and I set them up in a Google Drive for them, so they've got access to the graphics, which I create in Canva or Adobe Express, depending. Most of them are in Canva, this one. And they provide a headshot for me, and I've designed all the cover art, as you can imagine. Yeah. So I send that all out to them, and I provide them with like clips, like 30 seconds clips if they want to put on their own social media. So I use that too, and I give them a Google Doc where they can tag me, where they can get the downloads for the episodes, their episodes, and then from there I embed it in my website. So I get a blog every month, every 2 weeks. So that's also good for my SEO. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So my website, Moxie, Riverside, and that's pretty much it. I use, yeah, I think so, and Canva. And graphic design.
Yeah, Canva, of course. I mean, who doesn't have Canva in some way to use it in their business? Yeah.
There's also Adobe Express, I must say.
The reason I've seen that jumping in a lot recently.
Yeah.
I'm Canva from when I started the business in 2020. I got on Canva. I don't know when it's been around since, but it seems pretty new at that point. And that was in COVID. We got it, but now I've seen Adobe Express. Is that something you're touching on, or is it? I see it looks very similar to Canva.
It's really similar, and they really want to be in that market. They've just they're throwing everything towards it at the moment. So it's really, really similar to Canva. But I think because a lot of my clients work as sort of already templates set up in Canva, and they always say, "Oh, can you send me a Canva file?" I just set it up in Canva. But I am trying to get some of them over to Adobe because I use Adobe every day for my work. So it's just easy.
It's your direct kind of software with clients. Yeah, it's similar to how, I mean, in accountancy, you've got Xero, QuickBooks, things like that, Free Agent, you've got different ones. So you have to kind of use them if you want to service different clients, but it depends what your need for what your niche of business is. So no, really cool. No, I'm really impressed with the podcast stuff because it's something that I'd like to be able to do it, but it sounds like I always think, there's so much to it. Is it possible? But when you've nailed it down, how simple it is, and for other people in here, really good. So if there was a bit of advice for someone who wanted to start their own podcast, what would it look like? What would you advise?
I would actually say download a trial of Riverside. Just download a trial of Riverside, get a mic, don't spend loads of money. Honestly, do not spend loads of money on a mic or all the equipment, because everyone thinks, I've got to get a decent mic and everything. I think I got this about 30 quid somewhere. It's, it does the job. I'd say download Riverside, start recording your voice, and just play around with it. Just play around with it.
Very nice.
But if you have an idea for your podcast, I'd say at least get 5 to 10 episodes that you think you want to talk about. And they don't have to be an hour long. They can be about 15 minutes.
Well, that's what you said. You said half hour potentially. And the good thing that you've done that I said about earlier, consistency. The fact that you've already recorded the head means you can be consistent and you don't miss, because if people start to enjoy your content, they think, right, I'm going to listen to Angie's content once a week or once a month, whatever it is. And they go, I haven't seen the post yet. And then they've lost the engagement. And that's all that time you've built up to get that kind of person listening, because you've got the consistency of being ahead. And it's the same for anything in life. I think plan ahead and you're doing the right things. So really, really cool.
Try it.
Have you got an idea for a podcast, Will?
Yeah, I was going to say, Will, what's your podcast idea?
No, I don't know. Clients talk all the time about podcasts, but I like just being invited. It keeps my life a lot easier.
I was going to ask you. Oh, sorry, Anne.
I was going to say another thing. If you don't want to do your own podcast, contact people that do have podcasts and do some guesting. Honestly, it's such a great way. And my top tip for that, once you've been a guest on them, create a playlist on Spotify of your own playlist of appearances.
Very smart.
And keep that as your marketing bit of on your media kit marketing sheet.
I think it's obviously setting up a podcast is not just an overnight job, but again, when we're talking about kind of networking, it's something, if you have something like that, even if it's a newsletter or a podcast or you're putting on your own, it could be monthly networking event. That's something else to talk about when you are on social media, when you're at other networking events, that isn't just kind of trying to go in and doing your elevator pitch. And I suppose you probably find, I find with a magazine that it sort of gives you that excuse to talk to anybody, because you can say, would you like to be on the podcast? Would you like to be featured? It's something that you're doing for other people. And I think that is also a really nice way to start to get invited on things. If you're kind of doing something a tiny bit out of the ordinary, which could be putting yourself out there in a newsletter or a podcast, that's when you're going to start getting invites on other people's podcasts or like speaking at events, because actually people need to see that you are a confident speaker, that you're doing something slightly out of the ordinary. This is, we've invited you on here today to share all of your expertise because we see you running a business in a really kind of exciting and interesting way. So I think that, starting these things and, you started with your newsletter. I mean, you started with your business and all of these things, but, over the last kind of few years I've seen you kind of start your newsletter and then start your podcast and then start your event and speak at more and more events. And, you know, would it be fair to say that they have kind of led, you know, they've started creating a momentum for each other?
I definitely think so. It's exactly what you just said. I think once someone gets my newsletter, and I think I got asked to go on a podcast after that, and then I've been asked to go on an event if they've seen me pop up on Instagram that I was somewhere, you know, like the webinar. And then actually, funny enough, this year, I know some people don't like it's a bit woo-woo. You have the vision boards. I have a vision board for the year, and I put on there I'd really love to speak on a summit, and I don't think I can say yet, but they invited me, and I was like, what the I'm on a summit this year. So, and it's a design summit, it's a graphic design summit too, and I'm just so excited. And it is, you know, it's one of the big ones, and I just think, oh my gosh, they've asked me. So, but that's because they saw me. I think they saw me on Instagram, and they've seen me, or someone might have recommended me. They didn't actually. Maybe I'll ask her actually exactly where, but I think if you don't put yourself out there, no one's gonna see you, and it's really interesting because some people, I know they get nervous about putting themselves out there, or they don't want to put themselves out there, but I think, and then they'll just carry on looking at other people thinking, oh, I wish I could do that, wish I could do that. And if you don't actually do one little thing first, just start, and you don't actually have to have it perfect. I remember my first LinkedIn post, I think it was actually an essay, because I was like just rambling and going on.
No spaces, no anything, no paragraphs. It was just all
exactly. One monologue of like,
There's so many people in my industry and accountancy who are young, just starting. They say, I don't want to post on LinkedIn because I don't know what my colleagues will think of me. They won't like that I've posted. And I'm like, why? Just post. It's your own. It's a social media. It's a way to get yourself out there. Like you could be the best in your industry at the job, but if you don't put yourself out there, no one's going to notice you.
No one's going to see you. Exactly. So just start.
And also, you know, the overnight success is actually 13 years of working in business, isn't it? And people kind of go, oh, why am I getting all these opportunities? But you do have to start small, and you do have to build up to it, and you do have to make the mistakes and do the crap first posts. And I think, you know, it's such a common thing. I don't know if if it's the same for everyone. I'm pretty sure it is, that when you first go to post on LinkedIn or post about your business, you think, oh God, what are my friends and family going to think about this? What are my colleagues going to think about it? And no one no one cares, do they?
No one cares. And it sounds harsh. It sounds really harsh when you say no one cares, but really no one does care.
It flips to a positive as well, though, because now I see people and go, that's Will who posts a lot on LinkedIn, and like, I saw your post about this. And that's what happens at in-person events, because my community is very local a lot of the time. And it's a really cool feeling, because if I did that at the start 5 years ago, they might have not cared, or they might have thought it was weird. But now, because I've done it so consistently, it's me, and that's normal, and it's cool. You just got to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I was going to ask you about your event, and because I know that, well, I don't know actually, but I presume that kind of came somewhat off the back of the podcast. But can I ask you first? We've had a couple of more questions in the chat for you, so can I just diverge into? Well, one of them is about the podcasting. So Marcus has asked, with creating a name for a podcast, should you check to see who else is using similar names out there already, so there's no clash, and you stand out for your own brand? What did you do in terms of coming up with the name for your podcast?
100%. I'd say definitely check out if there's other names out there, and just do a search on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, even Google. Just keep on just searching, looking for the name for it. When I came up for the name for mine, again, I wrote this name down about 2 years ago, and I totally forgot about it. And I was on the train with Molly coming back from an event, and I looked in my notes app, and I was like, I'm sure I wrote something down years ago. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, I've written Creatives Like Us. I was like, that's the name of the podcast. So I love the name, and I searched if anyone had it. I couldn't see it, so I quickly got the Instagram name and the Instagram handle. I bought a website domain. I'm a bit prolific of buying website domains. I should stop. But if I love something, I have an idea. So I bought .com and .co.uk. And then I went even further, and I trademarked it under the podcast category in the UK. So nobody can have that as a podcast name.
Wow. Awesome.
Only because I believe in it. So I just, I really want it to succeed. And other people also have said they believe in it. So
I'm being trolled by a mutual business friend in the chat. I've cut down a lot now, to be fair. I did used to have, if anyone wants to buy gifts giftsforgrannies.co.uk. I could give you a really good deal on that.
Yeah, I've got so many too. Oh my gosh. And I get these
Cut
alerts
down.
I get the alerts from GoDaddy and
13.99.
And I'm like, should I buy it again? I'm going to buy it again because this year it'll come out.
This year, Gifts for Grannies. No, I don't own Gifts for Grannies anymore, but I did own Gifts for Grannies at one point. But I did also have an online gift shop, so we digress.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, coming up with the name. Yeah, I definitely do your research on it, and especially if it's trademarked in this country. If you're in this country, just check if it's trademarks before you can.
Yeah, I think something that's make sure it's memorable as well. Like, it's difficult, isn't it, to get that sweet spot between stand out and memorable, I think, right? Because you want people to be able to remember it and, it's like, but yeah.
And then also have a name around what you are kind of doing, because I think some people might just use their name, which is fine because, I don't know, I suppose Stephen Bartlett's famous, everyone's going to, but even then he's got Diary of a CEO. So that's a different, that's the name of his podcast. So do something around that sounds what your actual business is, I'd say.
Lydia has asked, I know you said you use Instagram as well, but Lydia's asked, like, why LinkedIn? What are the perks of using LinkedIn over Instagram and Facebook? Do you prefer
both.
LinkedIn to Insta?
I'd say most of my work would come from LinkedIn, because I think I hate saying the word professionals, but they are there, you know what I mean? Where I get
it's
most
a business
of my
network,
work,
isn't
it's
it?
a business network. Whereas Instagram, I'd get more so the smaller businesses and freelancers are from there. And then also it's more visual and you've got your grid, and so people can see your work instantly. Whereas LinkedIn, you've got the featured profile, but you don't really, leave your work on there. So I'd say, and I know most social media people would say, don't do this, but whatever I post most of the time on LinkedIn, I'll post on Instagram. I'll just repurpose it. It's just, I've got different users, different people. Some are crossover, but, and again, don't always listen to what the social media account people tell you to do. Do your thing, what suits you, and you don't have to be everywhere, honestly.
For sure. That's such good advice.
I was going to say, I don't think they're comparable as such, would be what I would say on it, in terms of that. I wouldn't look at them as why LinkedIn instead of Facebook, or I would look at those alongside, because the type of content we put on Instagram, and it goes to Facebook as well because it's automatic to both, is very visual, very pretty. You look at it and you think, wow, it's a nice brand all built because it all looks really good and professional, I guess, if you want to use that word. But LinkedIn is where the advice comes in for our industry, and it's where it's a bit more long form post. So it's kind of very short form versus long form, and I guess that's the same with TikTok versus YouTube. You could look at it as another way, similar kind of comparisons. But I would say it's more of a both, trying to think, instead of going, I should be on LinkedIn instead of Instagram, Facebook.
Mel, we've got an Ange fan in the chat. Ange's big on TikTok.
Oh my god! Do you know what that was? Can I tell you what that was? So I've just recently started something. I've started doing some videos. So I've been giving some business tips, marketing advice, and design tips on Instagram. And I've been doing videos. So that's been great. And I'm just like, I'm not spending time on this. I'm not a video editor. So I literally put my phone on a tripod, record, put the captions on, put a little caption at the top, and I post it on Instagram. That's it, I'm done. I'm not even editing anything. I seriously have been doing it. And they're about a minute long. So I thought, I'll just stick it on TikTok. It was hilarious. My children came up to me the next day and said, oh my God, Mum, my mate's just seen you on TikTok. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's what Mel is referring to. But you know what? I've got like 1,200 views. I was like, that's quite a lot. So it's again, I'm not going to get into TikTok. I just thought, let me see what would happen. I just chucked it on there.
Wow, video now too. I still haven't asked you about the event. But
oh, sorry,
Arnie,
yes, the event.
No. Arnie has asked a question, which I think is which is a very fair question that we all want to know the answer to. How do you manage all your time with your business ventures, your networking, your family, your client projects? How do you? I'm really interested. I keep asking everyone this these days in terms of like how people organise their time. Do you have certain days for certain things? You've given us an insight into kind of the software that you use, but do you like plan your day ahead? Do you have a to-do list?
I do. I have a to-do list. I use my Moxie's planner. I do block out time on my Google Calendar too, where I don't want anybody to book any calls with me, or if I know something that I've really got an intense working schedule that week. So I will block out. I also print out hour by hour. I don't judge, but it works for me because then I can work out how long I need to spend on each project. If I know it's going to be a 2-hour job for this particular bit of the project, I'll block out 2 hours, and then so on and so forth. To be honest with you, business ventures, blocking out time. Like yesterday morning, I know that I should have stayed at home at my desk, but I was like, I need fresh air. But I caught up in the evening. It's just something that I just needed to do, and I just wanted to do it. But I'm also
probably made you more productive overall, no?
Yeah, because when you're out and you're walking, and even getting back on the tube, I started thinking about stuff. So it was just, I just needed to be away from my desk for a bit.
Sorry, you were going to say you were very... I interrupted you. You said I'm
I'm a very early morning person. So I get up quite early. And
what time, Ange?
No, I'm not good. You're going to judge me.
She's hustling.
I get up about 5.
The hustle culture. The hustle culture has really done a detriment for people who genuinely like getting up early, hasn't it?
I think honestly, all my teenage life, I've got up really early. My mum used to go to work quite early in the morning, so I just honestly got used. I used to get a bit nervous about her leaving the house, so I'd get up early. So I get up about 5 o'clock.
Especially now it's light that time.
And I just
Do you manage to keep that up through the winter?
Pretty much, and not so much now because I go to the gym and my mate's there and we go to gym workout. But she's got a job now, so I've had to motivate myself to go by myself. But I did go this morning. So yeah, I block out. How do I manage it? I pretty much do block out time, and I have to make sure I've got time for my kids. That was on my vision board this year, to make sure that I'm there for their exams. They've got GCSEs and A levels this year, so I've got all going on. So you have to do the work, as well as make sure you block out the time for your family. I just block out the time.
That's really good. I think you're a bit of a night owl as well. I don't think you're an early to bed lady. So I'm not
because sometimes we do. We do take some.
You're always like, oh, I've been at this awards ceremony. I've been at this thing, and I'm like, crikey.
You ever sleep? Yeah.
Yeah. The event. Something else you've started. So the business, the newsletter, the podcast, the public speaking wasn't enough. You launched this year the Creatives Like Us event.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So that
how did the idea come about? Off the back of the podcast?
Do you know how it really came about? It was a post it was a story on LinkedIn, on Instagram. So basically, Io, my co-founder of Creatives Like Us, the event, she saw a post where a venue was asking for if they knew any industries that wanted to host an event, and they were more so interested. It was running through Black History Month, and they said, we've got a space. They're a space called Us Too. They're a design studio, and they're in Shoreditch, London. And they said, we've got this space. If any industries, creative industry, or people of colours, or charities would like to come and use our space, we've got it for free. And Io texted me and said, what do you reckon of this? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, should we try and get an event and get some people together and like do an event for Black creatives? And I said, yeah, that's amazing. And then we kind of called, what do we do? I think we actually just contacted Us Too and said, we can't, that was one of their things they said, to do it in Black History Month in October. And we said, we possibly can't, we just cannot do this. But we can
when
do it
was
next
this
year.
when was it that the request went out?
They put it out in just at the end of September to host for October, and we said we can't put an event that quickly. So we contacted lovely Paolo, Us Too, and he said we can do it next year if you want. And then we had a call with him, and so he said we can book it in for February the following year, so for February this year. But before that, we had to go to him and say to him what we were and what we wanted to do. And we were like, well, we're actually just Us Two, but we've got an idea and we want to bring some Black creatives together. And I've just started a podcast. And it was, I remember me and Io Sunday night before putting it together on an A4 PDF of our ideas. It was one side. And we said, this is our business plan. And we went to see Paolo the next day on the Monday. And I don't even think he looked at our business plan that properly. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. And he booked us in. And we were like, shit. Oh, sorry. We've actually got to do this now. And which was exciting and also terrifying at the same time, because Aya's a great marketer. Aya Abbas, she's brilliant at marketing. That's her job. So yeah, it was just a bit nerve-wracking putting on an event, but we did it and we got lots of people to help us, whereas they supported us with spreading the words. about the ticket sales, and it was just, honestly, I was blown away by it, to be honest with you. So that's the name. Actually, we were trying to come up with a name for the event, and then I just said, well, why don't we just call it the name of the podcast, because it's the same people in the same industry. And she was like, yeah, let's do it. So that's what we did. So we set up a landing page, got some page on Eventbrite, and started selling tickets and telling people about it. I created the brand.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, what was it? Was it better doing it with someone else, do you think?
Oh my God, 100%, 100%. Even though I do quite a lot, admin is not my strongest point, and I really have to force myself to do admin. Whereas Io is just, she's on it, and she's just, she set things up, and then I can, once I get going, I'm good. So she was just on it straight away. But having a co-host and also she's very I'm sure she won't mind me calling her, but she's very A to B. So I'm like, and I'm the kind of la 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 in between. so we work well together. But we've just recently got a new person working with us. 2 people that said they want to, after the event, said they would love to work with us for the next event, which is on June the 19th this year. Vanessa Below and Beverly. They were both. Vanessa was one of our keynote speakers, and she said she loved it and wants to join us. So, and the same with Beverly. So we've got Beverly too helping us out.
So is this going to be like how are you planning on just keeping on putting on more, like every quarter, every 6 months?
Yeah. So we've actually, then when we booked the June event for next month, we said to Paolo, could we have one in Black History Month in October? And he said, yeah, sure. So we've booked a date for Black History Month, which is the 16th of October on a Thursday. And so we got next in June the 16th and June the 19th and October the 16th. And it came about because when we finished, somebody said to us, this is one of the last questions. So at the end of the day, the end of the event in February, and we were like, oh my God, we've done this. It's all good. We've had our keynote speaker, we've had panelists, we've had people working on their business. Because we served them delicious food and drink. And then one of the questions at the end said, when are you doing this again? And me and Io kind of looked at each other and went, oh, we have to do this again. But that's when Vanessa came along and sort of said, you need to be strategic about this. You've got something here and people want it. There's actual people came up to us afterwards and said, you charged too little for this. You should have charged a lot more for this. But I
was going to ask you, what would you, what would you learn? What did you learn from that first one that you would, that you would do differently for the second one and going forwards? Yeah. And that was one of the main things, was it?
That was
which is a classic error, isn't it? That we start too cheap.
Yeah, but again, we wanted to bring people together. We wanted to make sure, because even at the event, we were like, oh no, we'll just do it for free, because we got the event for free. I mean, event space in London, Shoreditch, for free. So we weren't paying for that. But one of the things we did want to do was give back to the community. And that's what us two do too. So we give 20% of our ticket sales to a local charity. So we gave it to the Shoreditch Trust. And then the rest of the money went on, things for the goodie bags and the food and drink. So it was like, we didn't make any money out of it. It was more so that we wanted to give back. What would I do? What would you do differently? We packed a lot in on the night.
I was going to say, I was thinking, gosh, and you're like, panel, keynote, goodie bags, food and drink. So tell me, I'm interested, like, what was the actual format for the event? Like, what time did it start? Sure. Tell us what the format is.
So it started at,
or was.
Yeah, so before people arrived, we sent emails out and we asked them to come with a business a problem or something that you want help with. So that was the first thing. But it started at 4:30. People arrived and there was a bit of networking beforehand. And the actual event started at 5:00. Io and I introduced it. And then we also had some mindfulness. We wanted people to be in the right frame of mind because they've literally just, left work, come off the tube. So we just wanted them to relax. So we had someone give a mindfulness session. It was only about 5 minutes and it was great. And then we went into our keynote speaker. That was Vanessa. And she was just phenomenal. It was just, the feedback we got from her was just amazing. And then we did some hives after that. And the hives were where people had their business, not problems, I want to say problems, but business issues that they wanted to work on. And we had those in different tables. So people broke out into different groups. And Us Two is a really brilliant space. It's got co-working space, and it's also got a bar, and it's really just colourful and just friendly, and people just worked on their business. But it was really hard then getting them to go get something to eat, because we had food arriving, and it was delicious, vegan food by a black caterer. She was brilliant. And the people had that, they ate. Then we were like, we've got our panel now. So it was like, let's go back in the other room. And it was hard again because people wanted to talk to the attendees. That was one of the biggest things that came out of it. People wanted to talk to people. And it wouldn't have worked if we were online at all. It just wouldn't have worked. So being in a space and being in front of everybody, it was just brilliant. So then after that, we did the panel talk, and then we tried to do a bit more of a hive session, but we ran out of time. We literally ran out of time. So that was one of the things. And then we had Q&A at the end. And I also had a feedback form and a WhatsApp group that we wanted people to join. And then I did a big boo. The QR code didn't work, and it was just like people saying, "Oh, I can't get to the QR code," and that was like, "Oh my god, I should have tested that beforehand." It was like the one thing I should have done. But then I thought about it, I was beating myself up about it, and I thought, do you know what? We've just put on a massive evening for everyone. So
don't focus on the little thing.
Yeah, exactly. But it was really weird because the next day I was still focusing on it. I was like, oh, and I don't know. That's like the point of, I don't know, trying to be perfect, but yeah, it's all good. But,
it's difficult not to.
Yeah, but that's,
I think that's the thing as well, isn't it? It's hard to, if you're just focusing on putting one event on and you kind of haven't thought ahead to the second one. But I think kind of with everything in business, it's a really good idea to like have something ready that when you have that captive audience, that you're saying, and even I see it in people's newsletters that they say, oh, more on this kind of next time. And I think that's really clever. I think I heard someone talk about it once, like a soap opera, where they have the kind of teaser at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like,
idea.
I think, obviously understandable that you are so focused on the first one, you hadn't even kind of considered whether you would even do a second one or not yet. But I think definitely that's a really good, good advice. Get your event, get your, or at least even if it's kind of a waiting list to hear about the second one, but check your QR codes, people. But I think the thing is, there was always going to be something, right? Like everything's not going to be perfect. There was going to be something, and no one else would have given a second thought to that.
Yeah. It was just, not at all. But as I said, they were just, I think people more so just love the networking side of things. So we've tweaked it for next month's event, where we're building in more networking time and more connection time. And again, they were quite, it was a different age groups, lots of different age groups there. And some people had never been to a networking event, but they also said, I've never been to a Black networking event before. So, and there was another lady that she needed to pray. So we provided somewhere for her to pray, and, she came back when she was ready. So it was just, and also that was just, I suppose, surrounding yourself with good people. Both Aya and I really wanted to have our friends around us. And my children, my husband came down at the end, but to help set up the event, just have a good, again, come back full circle to the beginning. It's like, find your people, find your tribe, because you'll always have people supporting you.
Yeah, and if you can't find the thing that you're looking for, or the thing locally that you're looking for, or the thing for your industry or group of people, then create it.
Yeah. I know.
Start really small and create it.
I know some freelancers in the Being Freelance community. They've set up their own little thing where they've gone networking, or set up other various things in a co-working space. So it's just about, as you said, if you haven't got it, set it up, try it.
Awesome. Congratulations. I mean, what's next?
Gonna go down, lie down. No.
Summit, series of events. We haven't talked about graphic design, so can I ask you, as a bit of a pivot, what are your best graphic design tips for kind of small businesses, if you're using Canva, if you're doing a bit on your own, or maybe social media? What are your best sort of tips? And I'm listening carefully.
I'd say my top tip is to be consistent. Don't be because especially in Canva, you can open up the Canva homepage and you'll be bombarded with lots of like different templates and lots of lovely shiny things, and they look nothing like your business. So get something that you have in your business so you've got all your colors are the same, all your fonts are the same, and try and be consistent in your business. That would be my top tip. Don't go crazy with lots of different shiny new things.
Yeah, they do have a brand guideline. You can create your brand guidelines, can't you?
Yeah, that's for the pro. I think if you pay for the extra tier, you can have your own brand.
It's not very expensive though, really. I don't think.
When you think
it's £100 a year,
it's £99, £100 a year, and when you break that down, whereas. God, again, I'm putting myself out of business. You want to pay a graphic designer that for a month, so you can do it yourself if you want to, and it's really cheap, and you can just factor that into your business.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's on that. I don't know if Canva would like it, but I'm pretty sure you can have 4 users on that. So we have it for our team, and we've had, if people join us or if someone really needs it, you can give access to other people, and yes, they'd be able to. You can give how much they can see as well. So if you've got a group, say it's a group of you all, and your friends all want to start a new business, you could probably share a Canva license. So it's effectively down to nothing.
Yeah, I'll just put a little. Yeah, I'll just put a little caveat in there. I think they've changed it recently, where you have to pay per user.
So maybe I'm on a legacy one, and I was able to get on.
Because I think they went to change it, didn't they? And then they retracted it.
People got really funny about stuff.
Yes, so
you
might be on that.
No one can actually have that. Only me, because I'm on a legacy.
Because you're special. But also the same with again, Adobe Express. They've got a brand area where you can put all your fonts and your logos and your colors and photographs too, and even your actual brand pack. Put it in that area. So I'd say that's one of my top tips. And again, I've done a webinar on consistency, so in your design business, and your business, and with design. So I'd say that's one of my top tips to do.
Jackie's asked in the chat, do you work with other creative groups? But like BIPOC in Fibre, have you heard of this?
BIPOC in Fibre? No.
Can you give us a little bit more context in the chat, Jackie? That would be great. But yeah, do you have other kind of creative communities that you work with, or what do you?
I'd say not. I suppose not work with directly, but there's there's groups that I'm part of, like the Being Freelance group. I'm part of a group called Join Our Table. They're a group of Black women in design and marketing. They've got a very active WhatsApp group, and they meet up for events too. I'm part of Digital Women, that's run by Lucy Hall. I love that group. It's just really supportive, and if you ever need anything, you can go in that group and you'll find it. Again, You Are the Media. I'm kind of on the sidelines for them, but I'm part of their group, and I'm going to their events. I like going to their events. And what else do I think? So different groups. Again, I don't want to overload with groups because it just gets too much. So I get invited to go to certain groups, and I just say I can't. So they're my main ones. Oh, can I mention Black Women on Wheels? they're the group that I cycle with on the weekends when I can. So they're called Be Well Black Women on Wheels. So I help them out with their social media and their graphics and their website. So that's a bit of I suppose pro bono work that I do throughout the year. But yeah, I love being with them. So they're my people.
We're getting so many questions in from the chat for you, Ange, and we've got 2 minutes left. I believe it's gone so quickly.
It's really quick.
So, Black creatives who work with textiles, fibre, yarn, and knitwear. All right, so probably something to look up.
Yeah, I did meet a Black ceramicist last week, and she told me about because I was telling about the podcast. I met up with her and asked if she'd like to come on my podcast. And there's so many groups out there. Again, just find, they are there. And if they're not, start.
Okay. Big question. Lydia's asked, brand new business. What's the best thing to put your money into?
Oh,
graphic design.
Graphic design all the time. No, I'd say if you can work it out yourself, if you can, I'd say work out your values and your tone of voice and your mission, what you stand for in business and who you are. And then I think after that, all the other things will come after that. So then you'll have your brand, and then you'll have your website, and then you'll have your business cards and all of that sort of stuff. I think a lot of business owners, when they first start, they just think, oh, I'm just going to get a website, and they'll build a website. There's nothing to put on the website, or they don't know what they're going to put on the website, or they just put anything on the website, and then they've spent all that money and it's really not worth it.
That's such good advice. And also be comfortable with that period of kind of, working it out and not knowing, maybe, don't kind of set up your website straight away, give yourself 6 months to work out what works or what doesn't work, or 12 months or things like that.
I think I've just mentioned Lucy Werner's book, Brand Yourself. That's a really good book if you're doing it yourself. Just have a read of that.
It's 2:00.
Oh my God!
Thank you so much. I'm just putting your LinkedIn in the chat so people can connect with you, if that's okay.
Oh, cool. Of course.
I'm going to quick, very last question is, what's your best tip for starting something?
Just start. Don't hold yourself back. Just do it, because if you don't start, it will never happen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone that's joined us on the live stream. Thank you so much to Ange. Thanks to everyone who's joined in on the chat and put questions in. It's been such a cool
thank you for having me. Honestly, I've enjoyed it.
And thank you to Will, co-host Will.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for me for putting this on. And there'll be key takeaways, and the recording will come out afterwards if you want to watch it back at all.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Thanks again. See ya. Bye.
Bye.